Welcome to another episode of Moments Nigeria. People trained in the creative use of their hands soon acquire skills, excellent craftsmanship, which will be the most important measure of how well we can industrialize. This was said by Filipino writer Francisco Jose. Tonight on Moments, we talk about the reinvention of old school trade. Hello.
Hey.
Hi. When I think old school trade, I think like hair making, sewing, even like, you know, craftsmanship, basically.
Making
acquiring
necklaces,
skills.
things that you know back then you'd say this is a vocational job, it was a less than trade. You know, maybe you couldn't afford to go to university and your mom would just say, okay, just go and do this and learn trade. But now, people are making
a killing.
Yes.
Let me tell you one thing that I would love to really see people, a lot of our younger generation get into knitting. It's now seen as a granny's pastime job. I mean, it always has been. But there are a lot of people used to knit to, you know, wear like nice wool scarves and in the cold.
Scarves in Nigeria.
No, but like babies' blankets. Knitting is for like babies' blankets. And
do you know what I mean?
You can
Only
get
cool
things.
people would wear wool
Because we all now buy everything in terms of
Yeah.
when you can, you know, just knit.
But you know what though, I do understand, I do see what you're saying in the fact that even like people who make adire, like I would say adire is a really good comparison as well.
That's true.
Because like tie-dye,
what
like I
is,
know the
it
person
is.
that used to work in my house. I remember one time she ruined one of my pants and there were different colors on it. And she made these really interesting tie-dye pants for me and I was like, this is something that you can be making side money from. So
There's lots of things. I mean, I think growing up, I had a lot of people I knew who made, you know, black soap and they'd mix it with lemon, mix it with this, and they'd package it in, you know, some plastic containers and sell it on. That was like a really good way of making money. I think there's so many things that we are good at doing with our hands, baskets, weaving, which can bring in additional income. So it's definitely,
I definitely agree. All right, tonight's episode seems very exciting. Our very first guest is UDOKA Uju, popularly known as the First Lady Painter, the founder of Grab a Brush Color Life Initiative. Watch this.
My name is UDOKA Uju. I'm the lady painter, revered lady painter. I paint interior of houses and exterior as well. I have my team of professional painters I work with. We are based here in Lagos, but we travel all around Nigeria to paint. We paint churches, hotels, schools, homes, offices, you name it. And yeah, that's basically what I do. I started first of all with my interest in interior design. I always wanted to be an interior designer while I was doing my 9-to-5 job. I even had to register a company. I have a registered interior design company. But while I was doing it, I realized I needed to focus on something. I've never been artistic. There were 3 services I was offering in my interior design firm: furniture making, painting, and consulting as well. But I had to pick out one of them to specialize in, and one that was easy for me to delve into fully, and it was painting. And I just thought of being a painter, self-taught. I watched a lot of videos on YouTube, and then I worked with a team that are already professional painters, so I got to learn from them and also taught myself. That's just how I started. Besides painting, running Lady Painter as a business, I have an NGO, Grab a Brush Color Life. What I do basically is I focus on public schools or homes in rural villages. So these are buildings or schools that actually need our attention, that doesn't require so much to be beautiful and look as good as our private schools. So it was just something I thought of. It's not something I had planned for long, so I decided to run the NGO on the side. So it's been good. My first project was in Mushi. I painted a public school in Mushi, Raromi Primary School, and my second project right now is ongoing and is in a village in Imo State. What inspired my initiative was just the desire to touch lives. So I paint houses, but really how many houses can I really paint, or how many people would I really reach with my skills? The one way I could use to give back to the society and give back to the people easily without any charges from them was to paint their homes. So one of the challenges I'm facing in my business, first of all, is accounting. You know, when you start up, you're running your business on your own, and then you think, okay, whatever money comes in is yours, you spend it and do whatever with it. It was a challenge that I was facing at first, but right now I'm trying to figure it all out and have my books and everything in place. Another challenge is, you know, being a female painter in a male-dominated industry. Yeah, initially the response I was getting wasn't so good, wasn't so encouraging, but I didn't let that stop me. Right now, I walk into the same places where the male painters go to. I bid for jobs with them. They even look up to me for for jobs and all that. The guys that, or the men that used to be like, are you sure you're a painter? Are you sure you can do that? Are you sure they ask our clients, are you sure this lady can deliver and all that? But now they know that I can do, I mean, I don't just work with female painters, I have male painters as well. So I have able hands to do any job. So it was an issue before, but right now I think everyone has come to accept it. And it's not just me. A lot of female artists right now are calling themselves painters. So a lot of us right now are coming out boldly saying this is what we do for real.
Very impressive. We're going to go on a quick break now. We'll be right back.
I wanted to do more education and, you know, show people a different side to hairdressing. So training was very important for me.
Welcome back to Moments Nigeria. Our second guest is DUPE TALABI. She's the CEO of TASALA HQ, a hair and beauty salon established in 2015. She's a trained hairstylist and educator with a specialty in bridal hairstyling, wig making, and precision haircuts. She's worked with Avalon and also L'Oreal in the UK and also in the US. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, ladies.
DUPE has done some magic to my hair.
Yeah, my best wig to date, and you know, we always talk about it was from TASALA.
Yay!
You're very, very.
I've not had the pleasure of working with you.
I know,
but I've seen
we're
all
waiting.
your work on Instagram,
We're
and it
waiting
looks
for you.
fantastic.
You know, for me, like, I know, DUPE, you're an amazing person when it comes to styling bridal hair.
Thank
but what I
you.
really enjoy about coming to your salon was, my first experience was the way everyone in your salon was well trained. I remember when they were brushing my hair, and I remember just feeling like it was therapeutic.
Right.
Like, you know how you go to the salon and go, dum, dum, or they're washing your hair, you're like, and it was just really, really an amazing experience. So tell us a little bit about starting TASALA and why it was so important to have a really well-trained staff.
Yeah, for me, I mean, going into hairdressing was one of those things I went into it because I enjoy doing hair, and I wanted to give people a different perspective of hairdressing. It was one of those things where I remember even when, after university, I went back to hair school, and I met a lot of people who just had this impression of, oh, if you don't go to school, then you just do hairdressing. To be honest, even my mom, like when I decided to start doing hairdressing, at the beginning, she wasn't too keen. And when people asked about, oh, how's your daughter? She'd be like, oh yeah, she's in the UK, she just graduated, and you know, she's doing this and that. But she wouldn't mention the hairdressing. She would focus on my degree and, you know, the educational aspect. But I really enjoyed it. And also, I wanted to do more education and, you know, show people a different side to hairdressing. So training was very important for me. Setting standards was very important for me. And just showing people that there's more to it than just doing hair.
It's so nice that you said that, sorry to cut you short, because this is one profession that people sometimes in the past have been very condescending about. You know, your parents will threaten you and say, if you don't read your book, you will end up as a hairdresser.
Exactly.
And it's nice to have someone who's sitting on the chair right now who's saying, I'm a hairdresser and I make a killing from hairdressing, and I'm an educator as well, because it's the art of making hair. So how did you get your family to now begin to see this as a profession? For someone out there who's watching and is thinking, I want to do this, but I don't have all the support.
Yeah, as I said, in the beginning, you know, my mom wasn't over the moon about the idea. But as she started seeing what I was doing, and it wasn't just about, oh, just working in a random salon doing hair. I trained to do it, and then I started working with product companies and, you know, doing education for more bigger named brands. And when they start seeing that and seeing that, oh, wow, it's actually, you know, commendable. And people come and say to her, oh, I saw your daughter, or oh, I know that person, that's your daughter. And she's like, oh, she starts taking pride and say, oh, yes, I was, you know, I supported her to do this and that. And then they start to take the credits, you know, for it all. Yeah. So people just need to see that there's progression, you know, and there's opportunity, and you can actually be successful at it and do something credible with it.
And I want to ask you, you know, you worked with all these amazing brands in the UK, you trained with L'Oreal, and now you're here. So how do you make that kind of that journey from being a hairdresser to being a brand? TASALA is actually a brand, you know? So how did you establish that?
To be honest, I have to say I thank God, first of all, for making that happen. Because when I started, I just set out to do something where I wanted to be more customer focused. Okay. I wanted clients to come and feel, I wanted an environment where they would feel comfortable. They wouldn't feel, I mean, I went into some salons in the past where you go in there and it's just a case of, oh, just get my hair done and get out as quickly as possible.
On your head.
Exactly, or you have stylists chit-chatting their business or speaking pidgin English or local dialects over you. And that's something I really, you know, push aside in my salon. So it was more about client comfort, you know, getting the best service when you come into the salon, being relaxed and enjoying your time. Because for a lot of women, that's one of the only times they get to actually relax and just have time to themselves.
I must
so
say
it's
this
important.
about you. Sorry to cut you short. I've been to TASALA, and I think the most impressive thing is you sort of, you know how we watch movies for those who haven't been out of the country, and you watch like Barbershop, and you watch like, you know, people who have like American movies where there's salons, and the owner of the salon is on ground, like
you know the business.
You know the business, and you're with your staff, and you're all wearing uniforms. Was that something you? Because a lot of people back in the days would open salons and may not know how to do hair, and they would have a tiny office somewhere and be shouting their words. Somebody comes, hey, wash that hair, do this. But was that? Do you think that's what also helped in the brand building, knowing that you were one of your staff?
Yes, I think definitely it helps because first of all, every stylist or every member of staff that came in had to be trained to do things a certain way. So I wanted them to work a certain way. I wanted clients to have a certain impression of them. So there's unity. And regardless of the stylist you go to, it's not a case of, oh, if this person is not there, I'm not doing my hair. You know, regardless of who's there, you feel you're good. You know that every stylist is going to be to that standard and they're going to treat you the same way. It doesn't matter.
What about, I mean, before we wrap this up, there's the issue of reinventing, because I know that when this lace front thing came to Nigeria, you had a style in how you do the baby hair, and it became very popular. How do you stay relevant in this business?
You have to keep up with the pace. Just keep up with, always keeping up to date with everything that's changing. Even till now, to be honest, we're still way behind if you go to somewhere like the States, you know. So for me, it was important to travel, see what's happening out there, bring it back home, train my staff, do things that people hadn't seen before or was new in the market, and just keep it exciting as well for clients, because everybody wants something new.
That's brilliant. DUPE, well done.
Thank you.
We'll be coming soon to get a touch-up on my hair.
Yes,
I'll be coming for the first time,
yes,
so I can't wait.
I can't wait.
Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you, DUPE. Coming up shortly, we'll be joined by our third guest. He is in the carpentry business with over 20 years of experience. Don't go away.
You're watching Moments Nigeria, and we're talking about the reinvention of old school trades on the show today. We're joined by our third guest, Mr. Jonathan Hammond, who has over 20 years of experience in the carpentry business. Mr. Hammond, so nice to have you on Moments.
Thank you.
Yeah, so talk to us first of all about carpentry, because how lucrative is it? When people think of carpenters, they don't necessarily think of, you know, that it can be a very sustainable and a lucrative trade to be in. So tell us more about your experience of being a carpenter.
Thank you very much. The carpentry is one of the most lucrative business in our world today. Many people love it. Personally, I have a passion for it. I started it when I was very, very young. And by God helping me, I've trained a lot of people, and they are doing very good in the business today. But sometimes people look at it as if it's the work of illiterates.
There's a condescending part of it.
They don't know what is in until if they enter, they now discover that there is something good there. You may start from the lower part of it, but by the time you continue growing, getting more experience, you begin to expand. I start from a very low, just cut a nail. But today I'm doing what we call Africa culture, Africa creativities, blend with carving designs.
Fantastic.
That if the industry is not moving in this area, we now go to another area of the job, whereby we are having antique designs. And the part of design, so far as wood is concerned, I used to perform a lot of things.
A lot of miracles. Now I want to ask you this, Mr. Jonathan, because there's this crazy misconception that carpentry is cheap. people think it's not just to do a cupboard. But I only just found out like 2 or 3 years ago that made in Nigeria furniture is actually more expensive than even importing some certain things. So how do you, what is the price point and how did you build your business to the point where people now begin to believe? Because let's be honest, we have a lot of people that believe that if it's not foreign, it's not good. So how did you get your business to the point that people now believe in, I don't need to import anything, I will pay extra and get it made here?
Thank you very much. By God's grace, we have the materials here.
Okay.
We have a good wood that can last long. So now if we want people to understand what we are doing, if you come for the industry, we'll ask you, which wood did you want? If you want the cheaper one, we go with the cheaper one. Okay. But for us to maintain our name, we have to give you the original, then we increase the price a little.
Okay. What are the challenges in the carpentry business? Do you think that a lot of times, you know, apprentices are too quick to run off and start their own business before they've learned the full trade of being a carpenter?
It's true, I want to agree with you because sometimes some people learn 6 months and what will happen? They thought they have no hoe and they will run away without even collect the blessings of the master. We have them in the industry. So they are making the work so cheaper, not nice, people complain about the job. But generality, people said they are all the same. But I want to tell you, we are not the same. When you are patient and you take like 2 years to learn the job, you go out and you do fine. You can't compare somebody that takes 2 years to learn the work and somebody that takes 6 months to learn the work to be equal.
Can I ask you in terms of, you know, learning the work, you know, what is the process? Because I don't know, you know, do we have apprenticeships here in Nigeria or is it just you just find someone who you know is a good carpenter and you just attach yourself to that person and ask them to teach you, maybe give you a small stipend here and there? How do people learn this work?
Now, when I started the job, I first of all started to produce some certain things. Okay. Then people fell in love with it. Okay. They now bring their children. Now, we have so many types of children. We have some that will calm down, humble themselves, and learn the job. We have some that when they think about their friends, they will not stay. Before you know, they will run away. So what we do, we encourage them. Okay. We take part of their responsibilities. We give them money for feeding. We clothe them. As the time goes on, they feel much happy. They forget about their friends, and they concentrate. And by the time they concentrate, they get the job so easy and so fine. Now, we do both practical and theory.
Okay.
The practical take more time, but the theory take a very short time. And that's what I do.
Okay. Interesting. Just hearing you talk about, you know, your craft and seeing how passionate you are you worried about a lot of people, you know, not learning enough to carry on the torch of this business?
What personally I do, when I discover what is in you, and then your age, by the time I'm through with 1 year, 2 years, and I look for a company that maybe they may need your service, then I'll post them to the company, which I've done for so many, more than 15 people. And by the time they go there, say, oh, God, you are doing well. In fact, you are making me proud. In the company, they make me the head man.
So in other words, in short words, you empower people who train under you. That's a very lovely way to put it. Really, really Thank you so much for coming.
Yes.
And
Thank you. And if anyone wanted to get in touch with, you know, any of getting access to your pieces, how can they do that?
Oh, for now, you already get my phone number.
You can share that.
080-55-8000-C7.
Thank you so much, Mr. Haben, for coming on and sharing your story with us. Well, it's now time for a short break, after which we'll be back with Your Moment.
My name is Abimbola Kunle Oshukunle, and I am the creative director of Cornucopia, and we specialize in making women beautiful. I used to work in a bank, and it was very interesting, but I realized that I wanted to own my time. So I started exploring and thinking, what could I do? And I realized I fell in love. I didn't even know I had a creative bone in my body, but I fell in love with designing jewelry. I took a short course and I fell in love with designing jewelry. I just instinctively knew what to do to make something that people wanted to wear. And at some point, I had to decide to ditch banking and follow my passion. I would say one of the things that helped me was also the fact that my husband supported me. One of the things he said to me when I was scared of resigning from my job was that if this doesn't work, you can always go back, you know, and I think that freed me. If we were to judge with my personality, I really probably wouldn't have gone into business. But I think the flip side of it is that I had a creative side to myself that I didn't realize existed. This is the space where I'm in now, and again, as I said, it hasn't been all smooth, but I wouldn't trade it for the world. It's made me who I am today, and I'm definitely enjoying where I am.
That was Abimbola Kunle Osunkunle, the creative director of Cornucopia Luxury Jeweler. Now, to win a piece of jewelry from Cornucopia, answer the question, what year did Moments with Mo transition to Moments? Very easy. To win a piece of jewelry, all you have to do is to let us know what year did Moments with Mo transition to Moment. Tag all of our social media handles in your response, and we will be in touch.
Ooh, that's a good one. That's a good one.
Exciting. I'm going to enter, actually.
I know, right? Well, in a nutshell, today, I feel it's really nice to see trades that people would look down on. There's no such thing as old school trade anymore.
Definitely not.
It's making a killing. Like made in Nigeria furniture, for instance, it's amazingly expensive. The finishing, when it's done well, is really nice.
It's really nice, yeah.
And, you know...
And there's a lot of creativity in it.
True.
And I think, you know, there are a lot of trades where... my sister and I were talking about this the other day, and we were thinking about a lot of people who are doing exceptionally well. They're crafts that, you know, people said you should not do. You know, you didn't go to school for. And I'm not dogging, you know, I'm not dogging university at all, but for example, people who are makeup artists, people who are fashion designers, you know, these are things that people would be like saying, what are you doing? But now, when you realize it, those are the businesses that are meeting the needs of the people.
And you easily make quick cash.
Exactly. I agree, and I also think we can't underestimate the importance of apprenticeships. You know, maybe academics aren't for everybody. Some people really do have a God-given talent for certain areas, like carpentry, like hairdressing,
like
and
plumbing.
Plumbing, yeah. And these things are all essential needs in our society. Shouldn't be looked down on, and they can make a lot of money. So
yeah.
Well, we hope that you have been educated and inspired by this episode, and that, you know, anyone out there who's thinking of going into an old school trade will feel encouraged and know that it's definitely possible to make a sustainable and thriving living out of it. Well, it's goodbye from us for now, but do remember, if you can think it, you can do it.